Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to talk about one of the most destructive forces that can quietly and sometimes swiftly erode the foundation of any relationship, whether it's with a partner, a friend, or a colleague. This force is not always easy to spot, but it's incredibly powerful. It's called miscommunication. We live in a world of constant noise, distraction, and information overload. So it's easy to let the small things slip, to assume people understand what we mean, or to not take the time to truly listen. But let me tell you, miscommunication is like a slow poison. It creeps in quietly, but over time, it destroys trust, creates misunderstandings, and drives wedges between people who might otherwise have an incredible connection. Here's the truth. Relationships are built on trust, understanding, and effective communication. If you can't communicate clearly, you can't connect deeply, and when you can't connect, relationships suffer. It's that simple. Being present in a conversation is one of the most powerful tools you can use to strengthen any relationship. In our fast-paced, always connected world, we often find ourselves physically present with someone while mentally being somewhere else entirely. Whether it's checking our phones, thinking about what's coming next in the day, or getting distracted by external noise, we're not truly engaged in the moment. This lack of presence can easily lead to miscommunication and misunderstanding, which ultimately harms relationships. When you're not fully present, you miss out on the nuances of the conversation, the tone of voice, the body language, the emotions that lie beneath the words. Being present means giving the person in front of you your undivided attention. It's about actively focusing on them and the conversation. It requires putting aside your thoughts, judgments, and distractions to truly listen and understand what they're saying. This doesn't mean you have to agree with everything they say, but you should be present enough to grasp their perspective and connect with their feelings. When you show up this way, people feel valued, heard, and respected, which strengthens the bond between you. Think about the times when you've had a conversation with someone who is only half listening, distracted by something else. It doesn't feel good, does it? You may start to feel insignificant or unimportant, and the conversation can quickly lose its meaning. Now imagine the opposite scenario, where the person you're speaking with is fully engaged, making eye contact, nodding, and responding thoughtfully to what you say. You feel seen, heard, and appreciated. This is the power of being present in your conversations. It's the kind of communication that fosters trust and emotional connection. In relationships, this practice of presence can create an environment where both people feel safe to open up. When you're present, you allow the other person to feel comfortable sharing their thoughts and feelings, knowing they won't be interrupted or ignored. You're not just listening to the words, but you're also picking up on the energy and emotions behind them. This level of engagement can lead to deeper understanding, fewer misunderstandings, and a stronger emotional bond. Furthermore, being present can help you manage and resolve conflicts more effectively. During disagreements or tense moments, it's easy for emotions to escalate and communication can break down if both parties are not truly paying attention to each other. However, if you remain present, focused on the other person's words and feelings, it allows you to respond with empathy rather than reacting impulsively. This presence creates space for calm and constructive dialogue, enabling you to work through challenges without letting the conversation spiral out of control. In essence, being present is about prioritizing the person you're with and the connection you share over everything else. It's a simple yet profound way to enhance the quality of your relationships. By offering your full attention, you not only improve communication, but also show respect, appreciation, and love, all of which are fundamental to building lasting, meaningful connections. When it comes to communication, one of the most important skills you can develop is the ability to ask clarifying questions. This may seem like a simple practice, but it has the power to prevent misunderstandings, resolve confusion, and ensure that both parties are truly on the same page. Too often, we assume that we understand what someone is saying based on their words or tone, but those assumptions can be misleading. People have different ways of expressing themselves, and sometimes what they mean isn't always exactly what they say. That's where clarifying questions come in. They're a tool that can help ensure you're interpreting the message correctly and provide the opportunity to address any misunderstandings before they snowball into bigger issues. Asking clarifying questions allows you to dig deeper into the meaning behind someone's words. Rather than making assumptions about their intent or conclusions, you can ask direct, open-ended questions that prompt them to elaborate further. For example, if someone says something that doesn't quite make sense or seems ambiguous, asking questions like, "Can you explain what you mean by that?" Or, "What exactly are you referring to when you say this?" can create an opportunity for them to clarify their point. This ensures that you're both on the same page and allows the conversation to flow more smoothly. In relationships, especially when emotions are involved, it's easy for things to get misinterpreted. A simple comment or offhand remark can be taken in a way that wasn't intended, leading to hurt feelings or frustration. By asking clarifying questions, you demonstrate that you're committed to understanding the other person fully, and that you're not jumping to conclusions or drawing your own interpretations. This approach prevents assumptions from taking over and opens up a space for more accurate and open communication. When you ask for clarification, it shows the other person that you respect their perspective and are interested in getting the details right. Moreover, clarifying questions help manage conflict by preventing escalation. In heated discussions, miscommunication often leads to people talking past each other rather than actually listening. One person may feel misunderstood while the other may become defensive. By asking questions like, "What are you trying to communicate here?" or "Is this what you mean?" you can break the cycle of misunderstanding before it turns into a full-blown argument. It helps create a clearer path to resolving disagreements by ensuring both sides are heard and understood in the same way. Clarifying questions also promote a deeper level of engagement in conversations. Instead of passively listening, you're actively involved in the exchange of information, seeking to understand every nuance of what the other person is saying. This promotes better problem solving and fosters a sense of teamwork, especially in professional settings or collaborative relationships. It's a practice that encourages collaboration over confrontation, helping to create solutions rather than deepening divides. Additionally, asking clarifying questions can lead to more meaningful conversations. It opens the door for the other person to explain themselves fully and express their true feelings or thoughts without fear of being misunderstood. This can lead to deeper connections and trust in relationships, as it shows that you are willing to invest time and energy into truly understanding the other person. It demonstrates patience and care, and it fosters an atmosphere where both parties feel safe to share openly. In the end, by asking clarifying questions, you build bridges of understanding, promote transparency, and show respect for the other person's perspective. It's a simple yet effective way to avoid miscommunication, strengthen relationships, and ensure that both parties leave the conversation feeling heard, validated, and connected. One of the most subtle yet destructive habits in communication is interrupting someone before they've had a chance to finish their thoughts. It may seem harmless or even necessary at times, especially if you're eager to contribute to the conversation or have an idea you're excited to share. However, interrupting someone disrupts the flow of communication and can send a message that you don't truly value what the other person is saying. Interrupting is not just a minor annoyance, it can severely damage trust, hinder meaningful dialogue, and create friction in relationships. When you interrupt, it often gives the impression that you're more interested in getting your point across than in truly listening or understanding the other person. It's a behavior that can make conversations feel one-sided and reduce the chances of productive two-way communication. When you interrupt, you cut off the speaker's ability to fully express themselves, which can prevent important details from being shared. Every conversation is an opportunity to learn something new, but if you're constantly jumping in with your own thoughts or responses, you miss the full picture. By allowing the other person to speak uninterrupted, you're giving them the space to elaborate on their ideas, thoughts, and feelings. This full exchange allows you to gain a deeper understanding of their perspective, which is crucial for building trust and emotional connection. If you're in a relationship, whether with a partner, friend, or colleague, allowing someone to finish speaking before responding is an act of respect that reinforces the importance of their words. Interruptions, particularly in sensitive or emotionally charged conversations, can escalate conflict. When you interrupt, especially during a disagreement, it can make the other person feel dismissed, invalidated, or unheard. This can lead to frustration, defensiveness, or even anger, and the conversation quickly becomes less about solving the issue and more about proving who's right or getting the last word. Instead of being able to work through the disagreement in a calm, productive way, both parties may get caught in a cycle of interruption and retaliation. To prevent this, it's essential to practice patience and self-restraint. Allow the other person to speak fully, even if you disagree with what they're saying. Only once they have completed their thought should you offer your perspective. In addition, interrupting signals impatience, and impatience can erode the connection between people. When we don't wait for the other person to finish, we create an environment where the speaker feels rushed, which can limit their ability to think through what they want to say. If you show that you're willing to wait and listen attentively, it sends a message that you care enough to give them your full attention. This is especially important when conversations are complex or emotional. People are more likely to share their deeper feelings or concerns if they feel that they won't be cut off or dismissed. Another reason to avoid interrupting is that it allows you to hear the full message before forming a response. Often, when we interrupt, it's because we think we know where the conversation is going, or we feel like we've heard enough to respond. However, this instinct can be misleading. By allowing the other person to finish, you might hear something important that changes your perspective or prompts you to rethink your initial response. Interrupting limits your understanding and may lead to misinterpretation of the other person's message. When you wait until they are finished, you create the opportunity to respond thoughtfully, ensuring that your reply is based on a complete understanding of their viewpoint. Finally, by refraining from interrupting, you encourage a culture of open dialogue. When both parties take turns speaking without rushing or cutting each other off, it fosters an atmosphere of respect, trust, and cooperation. This can significantly improve the quality of the conversation, especially when discussing difficult topics or working together toward a shared goal. Giving each person the opportunity to fully express themselves creates a dynamic of equality and communication. It ensures that everyone feels heard, and this can pave the way for more constructive and harmonious interactions moving forward. In relationships, whether personal or professional, making the effort to listen without interruption speaks volumes about how much you value the other person and their input. It encourages deeper, more respectful communication and can build stronger, more resilient connections. Honesty and transparency are the cornerstones of healthy, thriving relationships, whether it's a romantic partnership, a friendship, or a professional relationship. When honesty is lacking, cracks begin to form and trust erodes. At its core, honesty involves not only sharing the truth, but also being open about your feelings, thoughts, and intentions. Transparency means allowing others to see who you really are without hiding or pretending to be something you're not. Together, honesty and transparency create a foundation of trust, making it possible to build a connection where both parties feel safe, valued, and understood. Without these qualities, even the most well-meaning relationships can suffer. When you're honest and transparent in your communication, you give people the opportunity to understand your true self. This openness allows others to respond in ways that align with who you really are, rather than reacting to a version of yourself that you may be presenting to protect your vulnerability. In personal relationships, honesty allows for deeper emotional connections, where both parties feel seen and understood for who they truly are. When you hold back the truth, or when there are hidden feelings or intentions, it creates a wall between you and the other person, and no matter how much you may care about each other, that wall keeps you from truly knowing one another. However, honesty is not just about what you say, but how and when you say it. Being honest doesn't mean blurting out every thought that comes to mind without considering the other person's feelings or the context of the situation. It's about being truthful in a way that is thoughtful, kind, and considerate of the other person's emotions. There are moments when a direct approach is necessary, especially if something is bothering you, but delivering honesty in a way that respects the other person's dignity and the relationship's emotional tone is key. Honesty isn't just about saying what's on your mind, it's about communicating in a way that strengthens the relationship rather than damages it. In a relationship, the fear of being truthful can often lead to withholding important information, which may seem harmless at first, but can snowball into something much larger. When we hide our true thoughts or emotions, we create a sense of distance and disconnection. For example, if something is bothering you in a friendship or partnership, but you choose not to bring it up out of fear of conflict, over time, those unspoken feelings can fester and grow into resentment. Eventually, these unexpressed truths may come to the surface in a more damaging and destructive way, causing misunderstandings, anger, or hurt that could have been avoided if the issue had been addressed earlier. Being transparent also means sharing your intentions, especially when it comes to decisions that affect others. If you're unclear about your motivations, goals, or expectations, it can lead to confusion or even feelings of betrayal. When people are transparent, they set clear boundaries and are honest about what they want and need. This clarity not only helps prevent misunderstandings, but also creates a sense of security. When your intentions are clear, the other person feels more confident in the relationship because they understand where you stand and what they can expect from you. In a professional environment, honesty and transparency are equally important. Leaders who are transparent with their teams build trust and respect, as employees are more likely to feel valued and informed. Similarly, when colleagues are honest with each other about challenges or concerns, it allows for more effective problem solving and collaboration. Without honesty in the workplace, misinformation spreads, assumptions take root, and productivity and morale take a hit. Ultimately, practicing honesty and transparency in communication is an investment in the long-term health of any relationship. It may require vulnerability and courage, especially in situations where the truth is difficult to express, but it is through honesty that deeper connections are formed, trust is solidified, and relationships flourish. When you commit to being open, clear, and truthful, you create an environment where both parties can express themselves fully, navigate challenges together, and work toward a stronger, more resilient bond. Listening to understand rather than to respond is a transformative shift in how we engage in conversations. So often, when someone is speaking, our instinct is to prepare our own response while they're still talking. We get caught up in thinking about what we want to say next instead of truly absorbing what the other person is saying. This approach leads to misunderstandings and missed opportunities for connection, as it focuses more on us than on the other person. When we shift our focus to truly listening and understanding, we open the door to more meaningful, authentic, and productive conversations. To listen with the intention of understanding requires us to set aside our own judgments, assumptions, and biases. It means we aren't just hearing the words spoken, but also paying attention to the underlying emotions, context, and meaning behind those words. This level of listening is active, not passive. It demands that we give the speaker our full attention with an open mind and a willingness to absorb their message without immediately jumping in with our own thoughts or rebuttals. It's about stepping into the other person's shoes, seeing the world from their perspective, and being genuinely curious about their point of view. This shift can drastically improve relationships, whether personal or professional. When someone feels that you're truly listening to them, they feel valued, respected, and understood. In contrast, when they sense that you're just waiting for your turn to speak, it can make them feel unheard and unimportant. This disconnect can lead to frustration and a sense of disconnection between people. But when you make the conscious effort to listen with empathy and curiosity, you not only create space for better communication, but you also cultivate trust and emotional safety. Listening to understand also means being willing to hear difficult or uncomfortable truths. It can be easy to listen when the conversation is light and pleasant, but when the discussion turns to challenging topics or disagreements, it's tempting to shut down or start preparing a defense. However, if we truly want to deepen our relationships and resolve conflicts, we need to listen with the goal of understanding, not winning. This means being open to the possibility that the other person's feelings or perspective may be valid, even if it's different from our own. It requires humility and emotional intelligence to accept that we don't have all the answers, and that the other person's experience is just as important as our own. Moreover, listening with the intention of understanding encourages more thoughtful responses. When we give the speaker the space to express themselves fully, we are better equipped to respond in a way that is relevant, compassionate, and aligned with the true essence of their message. Instead of rushing to provide a quick answer or rebuttal, we can take the time to reflect on what's been shared and craft a more meaningful, considerate reply. This not only leads to more productive and respectful conversations, but it also creates a space where both people can feel heard and valued even when they disagree. This approach also helps prevent many of the common communication pitfalls, such as misinterpretation or overreaction. When we listen to understand, we're more likely to catch the nuances in the other person's words, the emotions, concerns, or subtleties that might otherwise go unnoticed. These nuances can be key to resolving misunderstandings or addressing underlying issues that may not be immediately obvious. If we're only listening to respond, we may miss these critical details and misinterpret the other person's intentions, leading to conflict or resentment. Listening to understand also encourages a deeper level of connection. It's an invitation for both parties to slow down and engage in a more meaningful exchange where both voices matter. It's not about making sure that your viewpoint is heard above all else, but about creating a dialogue that values each person's input. This mutual respect builds the foundation for stronger, more authentic relationships where both people feel empowered to speak their truth and share their thoughts without fear of being dismissed or misunderstood. In essence, listening to understand is about prioritizing the other person's experience in the conversation. It requires patience, empathy, and the ability to be present in the moment. When practiced consistently, it enhances communication, fosters deeper connections, and creates a healthier dynamic in all types of relationships. Validating someone's feelings is a crucial element of effective communication, and it is a practice that can transform the way people connect with each other. It's easy to get caught up in trying to fix problems, offer solutions, or immediately share our own thoughts when someone is expressing their emotions. But true connection comes from first acknowledging and validating the other person's feelings. Validation doesn't necessarily mean that you agree with everything someone says or feels, but it shows that you respect their emotions and the experiences that led them to feel that way. This act of recognition builds empathy, reduces defensiveness, and deepens the trust between individuals, making them feel understood and supported. When you validate someone's feelings, you affirm that their emotions are real and worthy of attention. It can be easy to dismiss emotions, especially when they seem irrational or difficult to understand. However, every emotion, whether it seems right or wrong, is a signal about how the person perceives a situation, and that perception is their reality. Dismissing or minimizing someone's feelings, even unintentionally, can make them feel invalidated and rejected, which only drives a wedge between people. For example, if someone is upset about a situation and you tell them, "Oh, it's not that big of a deal," or "You shouldn't feel that way," you are effectively telling them that their feelings don't matter. Instead of fostering understanding, this response creates distance, as the person may feel like their emotional experience is being ignored or trivialized. Validating someone's feelings shows that you respect their emotional experience and recognize its importance, even if it's not immediately clear why they feel the way they do. Acknowledging their emotions allows for more open and honest communication. For instance, if a friend is expressing frustration, instead of jumping in with a solution or offering a counterpoint, you can say something like, "I can understand why you're frustrated," or "It makes sense that you feel this way given what you've been through." This simple act of recognition provides emotional relief and lets the other person know that they're not alone in their experience. It also opens up space for more constructive dialogue, as they may feel more comfortable continuing to share their thoughts and feelings with you. When we validate feelings, we demonstrate empathy. Empathy is the ability to put yourself in another person's shoes and understand their emotions and experiences. By listening and offering validation, you are essentially saying, "I understand you and I'm here for you." This creates a sense of safety and trust that can deepen the bond between two people. It's essential to remember that validation is not about fixing the problem or trying to change the other person's feelings. Sometimes people just need to be heard and understood. Offering empathy and validation in these moments can strengthen relationships even without offering solutions. In fact, sometimes the best thing you can do in a situation where someone is upset is to simply acknowledge their feelings and offer support. Another benefit of validating feelings is that it can de-escalate tense situations. In conflict or disagreement, emotions can run high, and it can be easy for both parties to become defensive or dismissive of the other's emotions. By validating the other person's feelings, you can create a calmer atmosphere where both sides feel respected, which increases the chances of finding common ground or resolution. For example, if a colleague is upset about a decision at work, instead of immediately countering with your own opinion, you could start by validating their frustration, saying something like, "I understand why you're upset about this decision. It's a tough situation for all of us." This approach helps prevent the conversation from escalating into a fight or an argument because it demonstrates that you value their perspective regardless of whether you agree with it. Validating someone's feelings is also essential in building emotional intelligence, both for yourself and the person you're communicating with. When you actively listen and recognize emotions, you become more attuned to how others express themselves. This improves your ability to respond with empathy and understanding, creating more balanced, respectful interactions. Additionally, when you practice validation, it encourages the other person to also validate your feelings in return, creating a mutually supportive and open environment. It fosters a culture of mutual respect and emotional awareness, where both parties feel safe to share their thoughts and emotions freely. Ultimately, validating someone's feelings doesn't just improve the quality of communication, It strengthens the relationship itself. When people feel validated, they feel valued. When they feel valued, they are more likely to open up, build trust, and engage in more honest and meaningful interactions. By making validation a consistent part of your communication, you foster an environment where emotions are respected and both parties can grow and connect on a deeper level. Being open to feedback is one of the most powerful ways to foster growth, improve communication, and strengthen relationships. Whether the feedback is positive or negative, it provides an opportunity for self-reflection and improvement. However, being open to feedback requires vulnerability and a willingness to listen without becoming defensive. This can be challenging, as feedback often involves hearing things that may be uncomfortable or difficult to accept. Yet it is this very discomfort that can drive personal growth and lead to stronger, more resilient relationships. When we open ourselves to feedback, we signal that we value the perspective of others and that we are committed to self-improvement and the success of the relationship. One of the main challenges of receiving feedback is the instinct to defend ourselves. It's natural to want to protect ourselves and emote, especially if the feedback highlights an area where we feel we might be falling short. But when we respond defensively, we shut down communication and prevent ourselves from truly understanding the other person's perspective. Instead of hearing the feedback with an open mind, we become fixated on justifying our actions or explaining why we are right. This not only hinders personal growth, but it also creates friction in relationships, as the other person may feel unheard or dismissed. By being open to feedback, we allow the other person's input to be heard and valued, creating an opportunity for mutual understanding and growth. A key aspect of being open to feedback is the ability to listen actively. This means putting aside our own emotions and judgments in order to truly absorb what the other person is saying. It involves being fully present in the conversation, focusing on the message rather than on how we are going to respond. Active listening shows that we respect the other person's opinion and that we are willing to engage with their feedback thoughtfully. Rather than immediately offering an explanation or counter-argument, we can pause, reflect, and ask clarifying questions if needed. This not only helps us fully understand the feedback, but it also demonstrates that we are open to hearing the truth, even when it's not what we want to hear. When we embrace feedback, we also model vulnerability and humility. We show that we are not perfect and that we are open to learning from others. This creates a deeper sense of trust in relationships as the other person sees that we are willing to grow and evolve. It also encourages a culture of open communication where feedback is not only accepted but encouraged. People feel more comfortable offering feedback when they know it will be received with openness and without judgment. This fosters a supportive environment where both parties can improve and thrive together. Additionally, being open to feedback helps to identify blind spots, areas where we may not be aware of how our behavior is affecting others. We all have tendencies, habits, or patterns of behavior that we may not recognize or fully understand. Feedback from others provides an outside perspective that can shine a light on these blind spots. It allows us to see ourselves from a different angle and make adjustments that can improve our interactions with others. For example, a colleague may give us feedback on how we communicate in meetings, highlighting that we tend to interrupt others or dominate the conversation. At first, we might not realize we're doing this, but once we receive the feedback, we can become more mindful of our communication style and make efforts to improve. Feedback also plays a critical role in resolving misunderstandings or conflict. Often, miscommunication stems from not fully understanding the other person's perspective or behavior. When we're open to receiving feedback, we can clear up any confusion and work toward a more accurate understanding of each other's needs and intentions. This leads to more effective problem solving and conflict resolution as we approach disagreements with a willingness to listen and learn rather than to argue or defend ourselves. By asking for and receiving feedback, we demonstrate that we are invested in finding solutions and improving the relationship. Ultimately, being open to feedback is a sign of emotional intelligence and maturity. It shows that we are not only interested in expressing ourselves, but also in improving our interactions with others. This willingness to grow and evolve creates an environment of mutual respect, trust, and collaboration. It allows us to deepen our relationships, whether personal or professional, and ensures that we are continuously learning from those around us. The more we embrace feedback, the more we enhance our ability to connect with others, navigate challenges, and grow as individuals. Showing appreciation and gratitude in relationships is often overlooked, yet it is one of the simplest and most effective ways to maintain a healthy, strong connection with others. When we express gratitude, we make the other person feel valued, seen, and recognized for their efforts. It's easy to get caught up in the demands and challenges of daily life, but taking the time to acknowledge the contributions and positive qualities of those around us can make all the difference in maintaining a strong and resilient relationship. Whether it's a small gesture, a kind word, or a thoughtful act, showing appreciation helps nurture a positive, supportive dynamic that deepens emotional bonds and encourages mutual respect. Gratitude is powerful because it shifts the focus from what might be lacking in a relationship to what is already present. In any relationship, there are moments of difficulty and frustration, but by consistently showing appreciation, you highlight the positive aspects that make the relationship meaningful. Acknowledging someone's effort, kindness, or support can turn an ordinary interaction into something special and impactful. For example, telling a partner, "I really appreciate how you've been so patient with me this week," or thanking a friend for their continuous support shows that you notice their contributions and care about the effort they put into the relationship. Expressing appreciation also fosters a sense of reciprocity. When people feel appreciated, they are more likely to continue contributing positively to the relationship. This is particularly true in close relationships, such as romantic partnerships, friendships, and family dynamics, where both people often have emotional investments. Feeling appreciated motivates people to invest even more in the relationship because they know their actions are valued. It creates a positive feedback loop where kindness and generosity are returned and shared, deepening the emotional connection between individuals. Moreover, appreciation doesn't have to be grand or elaborate to be meaningful. Small, consistent acts of gratitude can go a long way. A simple thank you for something someone does regularly, like taking care of household chores or being a reliable friend, can significantly improve the quality of communication and interaction in a relationship. These small acknowledgments make the person feel recognized and encourage them to continue their positive behavior. Over time, these consistent expressions of gratitude build a foundation of goodwill and mutual respect that strengthens the relationship over the long term. Another powerful aspect of gratitude is its ability to combat negativity and prevent resentment from building up. It's easy to focus on the things that frustrate us or on the mistakes others may make. But if we neglect to show appreciation for the positive actions and qualities in those around us, resentment can creep in. When we fail to acknowledge the effort others put into the relationship, they may begin to feel unappreciated or taken for granted, which can lead to misunderstandings or emotional distance. By taking the time to express gratitude regularly, we reinforce the idea that their contributions are important, preventing negative emotions from overshadowing the relationship. Gratitude also cultivates a more optimistic outlook, both for ourselves and for the people around us. When we focus on the positive aspects of a relationship and express appreciation for them, we are reinforcing the idea that there is always something good to be found, even during tough times. This positivity can help navigate challenges more effectively because it reminds both parties of the strengths they bring to the relationship. When things get difficult, expressing appreciation for each other's resilience, support, or patience can bring a sense of hope and encouragement, helping to overcome obstacles together. In professional relationships, appreciation is just as critical. Acknowledging the efforts of coworkers, subordinates, or colleagues can boost morale, increase job satisfaction, and foster a positive work environment. When people feel appreciated at work, they are more motivated, productive, and engaged. Simple gestures of gratitude, such as complimenting someone on their work or thanking them for their collaboration, go a long way in creating a culture of respect and cooperation. It also helps to reduce stress and burnout, as individuals feel supported and recognized for their contributions. In conclusion, showing appreciation and gratitude is one of the most fundamental and impactful practices to strengthen relationships. It not only reinforces positive behavior, but also creates a culture of respect, kindness, and mutual support. By consistently expressing thanks, whether through words, actions, or small gestures, we help cultivate an environment where both individuals feel valued and understood. And this sense of value fosters trust, deepens emotional connections, and ensures that the relationship remains strong and resilient through both the good times and the challenges. In the end, the strength of any relationship is built on how we communicate, how we treat each other, and how we respond to the challenges we face together. By avoiding the behaviors that destroy trust, like interrupting, withholding honesty, or neglecting to listen, We create a foundation that fosters understanding, growth, and connection. When we embrace feedback, validate each other's feelings, and show appreciation, we not only improve our relationships, but also enrich our lives. Remember, the quality of your relationships is a reflection of how deeply you invest in them. So let's commit to nurturing our relationships with care, respect, and empathy, and watch them flourish into something beautiful. Thank you.